Today is a great day to be a Rippaverse fan. Why is that? Because the Great War of Separation, Part 3, the penultimate chapter to this miniseries, has been released, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Hi, my name is Jacob Berry, and this is the StudioJake vidcast. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. If you're watching on YouTube mobile, be sure to hype this video. I'm not sure what that does, but apparently it's good for the channel, so I would appreciate it. And no, I'm not having a midlife crisis. I'm just wearing a hat today because all my Rippaverse shirts are dirty. So I picked out this hat instead. As is tradition, I will be reading from my Substack, which is in the pinned comment, so you can find that link there. The Rippaverse prequel miniseries, The Great War of Separation, continues with Part 3. Chuck Dixon returns to write, and Jack Herbert returns to handle the artwork. The United States military is prepping to unleash more excepts, people with powers, onto Texas as the state continues to rebel. Brian Solari continues to lead the war effort, but the governor of the Lone Star State is seemingly getting more erratic as the war progresses. Things turn worse when the Texas Rangers are framed for a crime that they did not commit. First of all, Kanan White's cover was great. It is an illustration of Harriet Silman, the mother of Isom, in a pose that pays homage to Rosie the Riveter. It truly shows the impact that the war is having on the citizens of Texas. The interior artwork by Jack Herbert is also impressive. I love how he draws the battle, especially with the superpowered soldiers. The ferociousness of the fight scenes was so well translated from the story. The art had an impressive impact. Speaking of impact, Dixon does an excellent job of bringing about the twists and turns, not just of the battles, but the politics as well. When it comes to these stories where political entanglements are unavoidable, there is a temptation to insert modern-day politics instead of fictional ones. I applaud Dixon for sticking to the plot instead of pandering. This was another excellent look into the early days that defined the Rippaverse. We see a young Solari and a young Isom being shaped by these events, crafted perfectly by Dixon and Herbert. And I have been loving the Great War of Separation. Like I said, I am not a huge fan of war arcs, unless it is like related to superheroes like Marvel's Civil War, for example. But when it comes to like superheroes being involved with on-the-ground battles and whatnot, that is just not usually my cup of tea. However, Chuck Dixon is one of my all-time favorite writers. For those of you who don't know, he co-created Bane, the Batman villain, with artist Graham Nolan, and did a spectacular job with that, obviously, but he does a spectacular job here. He is an excellent storyteller, and he really brought together the Great War of Separation in such a brilliant way. It's all coming together, and especially now that more evil excepts have been introduced into the battle, we are going to see a tremendous change, and I look forward to the finale. I don't want to give spoilers, but there is an unexpected twist in this story that really shocked me. Like, I was not seeing it coming, but in no way cheapens the story. It is a good surprise, one that if you are reading this series, you are going to be shocked by. I mean, it came out of nowhere, but again, it felt earned. It wasn't like it was some cheap ploy to make the story have more shock or whatever. Not like that at all. It was actually a very, very sleek, well-planned twist, and I really loved it. Now, I usually tend to avoid like hyping up villain scenes in comics. It's very rare that I do that. The artwork has to be particularly good, and Jack Herbert, he nails it with this. So this is one of the villains known as Blitzy. She is a powerhouse, and she will definitely be trouble for Brian Solari and the rest of the Texas military. Look at this design, though. This is so well drawn, and I also have to shout out the colorist on this, Marcus Lesko, because he really complimented Jack Herbert's artwork. Because the colorist, he or she can make or break a panel, a full page, a cover. But Jack Herbert and Marco Lesko work really well together, right along with Chuck Dixon's writing. It is definitely a treat. It is definitely something you're not going to want to miss. And I just want to double down on the cover here. I really like this sort of reference to Rosie the Riveter that they put here. And like I said, in the actual story, Isem's mother, she is not a soldier. She's not a superhero. She does have superpowers, as we found out in the Isem series. But here we get to see her just kind of living an ordinary life and trying to be a good mother to Isem. It is a really good sort of juxtaposition that you have someone who is a citizen but not necessarily out of reach of the war on the cover. It is really cool. And of course, she was created by Rippaverse founder himself, Eric July. Most of these characters were. Chuck Dixon obviously created a few, or I should say co-created a few, but Eric July, he created Isem as well as Isem's parents. So it was cool to see his sort of, I guess you could say, fingerprints in this story. And I really like how they're setting up this because it is different, whereas in a lot of the other comic book companies, the United States of America is exactly how it is in real life. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm just saying that the fact that I believe America is split in 4 or 5 nations in the Rippaverse. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's the case. It's like split. And in fact, one section of the United States is basically a Badlands, and they have teased that there are going to be stories out of those Badlands, which I'm very excited for. But I liked all this because it made it sort of unique. It stands apart from other comic book universes, and I think that is really cool. So what am I expecting for the Great War of Separation? I don't want to give any theories away because I'm worried that that will spoil the story, but I will say I'm excited for part 4. I've already pre-ordered it. I'm so excited for it. Like I said, Chuck Dixon is one of my favorite writers. In fact, 2 of my favorite writers have joined the Rippaverse. Chuck Dixon, because he is writing The Great War of Separation, also The Horsemen and Alpha Corps, but also Mike Barron, who wrote Gooding the Polymath. He's also doing a Western for the Rippaverse, so I am very excited to see how that plays out. 2 of my favorite comic book writers. Chuck Dixon worked on Batman, The Punisher, G.I. Joe, Transformers. Mike Barron, who worked on Batman, The Punisher, but also Nexus and the Badger and so many iconic characters. It is so cool to see these guys at the Rippaverse working with Eric July to flesh out this universe and truly expand it. I'm excited to see if the Great War of Separation, since it's kind of acting as a prequel of sorts to the events of Isem, Alpha Corps, and Yaira, how they will play out in the Exclave. What is going to happen with that? Is there going to be echoes, or is it just going to be sort of a standalone? What do you think? Let me know in the comments section below. Are you reading The Great War of Separation? Tell me what you think. Do you like war comics? Do you prefer straight up superhero or sci-fi comics? Let me know in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear. All that to say, Chuck Dixon and Jack Herbert crafted a really great continuation and penultimate chapter with The Great War of Separation Part 3. I cannot wait for Part 4. I think it's going to be just exciting as the first 3 parts, just like this one. It is an excellent continuation with some cool twists and turns, and I cannot wait to see how it concludes. I appreciate you tuning in today. If you would be so kind, be sure to give this video a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment, tell me what you think, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the pinned comment where you can also read my review of The Great War of Separation Part 3. And again, if you're watching on mobile, hype this video. If you would like to support me in the work that I do, please head on over to my Substack, that's studiojakemedia.substack.com. As mentioned, it's linked in the pinned comment, but also in the description of the video. You can subscribe at different tiers that unlock different perks, including being able to choose the topic for the Substack, or here on my YouTube and Rumble channel. That's a pretty good deal if you ask me. Another way to support the channel is by checking out my novels. I've got 4 released. They're also linked on my Substack. You can find them all over the place, but they're all available on Amazon.com. Be sure to get your copies and leave me 5-star reviews. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on StudioJake.
I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I want to visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH.
Hats off to you.